Now let us see the basic terminology of accounting or the double entry bookkeeping system. So they are the some of the terms that we are using in preparing the journal entries, ledger books, trial balance and final accounts. Includes trading account, profit and loss account and the balance sheet. So here, if you want to prepare the final accounts, if you want to understand the accounting concepts, one should understand the basic terminology that we are using the financial accounting or the double entry bookkeeping system. So there are some of the terms that we are using in double entry bookkeeping system. Now let us see what is the meaning of these terms and how these terms we are using in double entry bookkeeping system. So the first one is double entry bookkeeping system. What is double entry bookkeeping system? The system which can record all the transactions in two aspects, that is debit and credit. Means according to this system, where there is a debit, there is a corresponding credit. For every transactions, two aspects can be recorded, that is the debit aspect as well as the credit aspect. The second one is account. So account is a very important term that frequently using in double entry bookkeeping system. So account is a T-shaped format. We can say it is a T-shaped format which can be used to record the items or the transactions of the business. Once you have completed the journal entries, the journal entries should be transferred to or posted to the ledger book. So ledger book is the book which consists of the several accounts of the business. So to prepare the account, we require to use this format. So account, what is basically account means? Account is a T-shaped format. Account is a T-shaped format which can be divided into two, left hand side and right hand side. Right hand side, which can be divided into two sides, left hand side and the right hand side. This is account. And what is debit and what is credit? Debit is the left hand side of the account called debit. This is the debit column. And the right hand side of the account called credit. This is credit column. This is credit column. Left hand side and right hand side. Debit means the debit, left hand side of the account called debit, the right hand side of the account called credit. And the debit is denoted by capital D small r, capital D small r, and the credit is denoted by capital C small r. Debit and credit. Left hand side of the account called debit, right hand side of the account called credit, and the debit is denoted by DR in account, the credit is denoted by CR in account, both left and right hand sides of the account. Next, accounting period. So this is denoted by capital DR, this is denoted by capital C and small r, both debit and credits. Accounting period. What is accounting period? Accounting period is a period for which the account statements are preparing or account statements are prepared. Accounting period is a period for which the accounting statements are preparing for the business. At the end of accounting period, accounting year is known as accounting period. Generally, this accounting period consists of 12 months, that is 1 year. So accounting period means the period for which the account statements are preparing or maintaining. Generally it is 1 year, which consists of 12 months. Next, transaction. Transaction is the exchange of money or money's worth in the business is known as transaction. Transaction means it is a process of exchanging the money or money's worth in terms of goods or services is known as transaction. So every business will conduct different transactions such as purchase of raw material, purchase of technology, purchase of machinery, sold goods, paid to employees in terms of salaries, paid wages, rent received, rent paid. All these are the different transactions generally conducting by the different businesses. Means in these transactions here involve money or money's worth. Either money transferring or money's worth of goods or services will transfer from one party to another party. Here transaction basically means exchange of money or money's worth between the parties in terms of goods or services is known as transaction. So there are two types of transactions basically in every business: cash transaction and a credit transaction. So cash transaction means the transaction involves the cash, means as and when the transaction takes place in the business, immediately if the cash is transferring from parties, one party to another party, that transaction is known as cash transaction. Cash transaction means which involves cash. I am repeating, cash transaction involves cash exchanges between the parties, seller as well as the buyer. Means as and when the transactions takes place in the business, immediately there is a changes in the cash, there is a flow of cash in that particular transaction is said to be the cash transaction. Whereas the second type of transaction in any business is the credit transaction. Credit transaction does not involve cash, but the same amount will be paid in the future date as per the promise given by the buyer or as per the promise given by the business to the supplier. So when there is a scarce resources in terms of money or the capital, then the customers or the business will conduct the transactions on credit. Such transactions are known as credit transactions, which does not involve cash. So in this case of transactions, money will not exchange, will not move, or there is no movement of money or the cash. There is no flow of cash in case of these transactions. Such transactions are known as credit transaction. For example, purchase of raw material for rupees 5,000. This is cash transaction because we are paying 5,000 rupees for purchasing the raw material. This is cash transaction. Immediately cash paying to the suppliers for purchasing the raw material. This is a transaction called cash transaction. And there is one another transaction is called as credit transaction. For the same purchase of raw material rupees 5,000 from Ravi. See the difference between these two transactions. So in case of the first transaction, we are not mentioning the name of the person who is supplying. But whereas in case of the second transaction, we have mentioned the name of the person who is supplying the raw material. This kind of transactions are known as credit transactions. So in case of these credit transactions, we need to maintain a separate account for the suppliers. But whereas in case of cash transactions, need not to maintain the separate accounts for the suppliers, as we are paying the cash immediately. If you paid the cash immediately, there is no relation with the suppliers and the business, because this transaction has completed. Raw material received by the business and worth of raw material cash given by, paid by the business to the suppliers. So transaction is completed. But whereas in case of credit transaction, we must maintain the supplier's account in the books of accounts till pay the amount worth of raw material purchased. So these two are the two types of transaction generally exist in the business: cash transactions and credit transaction. Simply we can say cash transaction means the transactions which involves cash, and credit transaction means which does not involve cash. These two types of transactions are very important. And asset. Here any item or all such items in the business which has some value is known as asset. All such items which has some value, all items are called as a asset. So assets may be classified into two types, such as fixed assets. Here one more item is the types of assets. So asset means owns of the business. Assets means owns or the properties of the business, or all items which has some value in the business is known as assets. Whereas coming to the types of assets, we have two types of assets basically, such as fixed assets and current assets. There are two types of assets, fixed assets and current assets. As we know, fixed assets means fixed assets are the assets which will give the services to the company or the business for a long period, or the assets which will not be converted into another form within the short period. I am repeating, fixed asset is an asset which will not be converted into another form, or fixed asset is an asset which will give the service to the company for a long period. So here again the fixed asset subclassified into tangible fixed assets, tangible, intangible, and financial fixed assets. Here the fixed assets classified into three: tangible fixed assets, intangible fixed assets, and financial fixed assets. Here tangible fixed assets are the assets which will see and touch. Tangible fixed assets are the assets which will see and touch. Such assets are called as a tangible fixed assets which will give the service to the company for a long period. Let's say example: plant, land, machinery, technology, vehicles, computers, or any other asset which will give the service to the company for a long period and which we can see and touch. So all these assets, plant, land, all these assets are we will see and touch. Such assets are called as tangible fixed assets. Whereas intangible fixed assets, which we cannot see and touch but will give the service to the company for a long period. I am repeating, intangible means which we cannot see and touch but that will give the service to the company for a long period. Examples for intangible fixed assets are intellectual property rights. All IPRs are comes under the intangible fixed assets, like goodwill. Example: goodwill, trademark, brand name, secrets of the business, All these are the IPRs, intellectual property rights. Intellectual property rights are the intangible fixed assets which will give the service to the company in improving the performance or taking the financial assistance from the outside or from the financial institutions or anywhere. So these are also called as fixed assets which will give the service to the company for a long period. And another type of fixed asset is a financial fixed asset. Financial fixed assets are the bonds, shares in terms of equity shares and preference shares or commercial papers. So these are all called as the financial fixed assets which will give financial assistance to the business for a long period. So bonds, shares are the financial fixed assets of the business. Here the bonds, shares are the financial fixed assets of the business which will give the service to the company for a long period. So these are the fixed assets. They are the different types of fixed assets. Now let us see the second type of asset is called as a current asset. Current asset. So current assets are the assets which will give the service to the company for a short period. Here the duration of this asset is long period. Service of the asset is long period. Here the duration of the service of the asset is the short period. So such assets are known as current assets. Or current assets are the assets which will be converted into another form within the short period. All such assets are called as current assets. Example, raw material, cash, bills receivables, debtors, and others. So they are the examples of current assets which will give the service to the company for a short period and will convert into another form within short period. These assets are called as current assets. So here there are two types of assets basically, such as current asset, fixed assets and current assets. Fixed assets are the assets which will give the service to the company for a long period, and these assets are subclassified into three, that is tangible fixed assets, intangible fixed assets and financial fixed assets. Tangible fixed assets which we can see and touch, intangible fixed assets which we cannot see and touch. Financial fixed assets are like bonds and shares in terms of paper, in the form of paper. Whereas the current assets are assets which will give the service for the business for a short period, which will convert into another form within the short period. Examples: raw material, cash, bank bills receivable, debtors, inventories, raw material, work in progress, short-term investments, prepaid expenses, incomes not yet received. Right? All these are the various assets which are comes under the current assets, which will be converted into another form within the short period. So these are very important in the double entry bookkeeping system. The next item is that capital. The next term that we need to understand is the capital. So the capital is the difference between the assets and the liabilities. Generally, these capitals we can see in the position statement, that is balance sheet statement. Capital is the difference between the assets. Capital means the difference between assets minus liabilities. Or capital means the total value of the share capital, the total value of the shares, we can say. capital is one of the most important item or the factor in the business which will be used to purchase the assets as well as the other items that we require to run the business. So capital basically means the difference between assets and liabilities, or the value of the shares in the business. Then the liabilities. What do you mean by liability? So liabilities are woes of the business. So woes of the business called assets, woes of the business called liabilities. Liabilities in terms of debentures, long-term loans, short-term loans, creditors, bills payables, and all these. So here the liabilities also we can classify into two types, such as long-term liabilities and short-term liabilities. Long-term and short-term liabilities. Long-term liabilities means the liabilities which will be repaid after 5 years. Here the short-term liabilities means which will be repaid within the short period. Here simply for example within 1 year. The liabilities which will be repaid within the 1 year or less than 1 year is known as short-term liabilities. The liabilities which will be repaid more than 1 year, such as long-term liabilities. Examples for the long-term liabilities: long-term loans, debentures, and any other liabilities which will be paid more than 1 year is known as long-term liabilities. The short-term liabilities, examples for the short-term liabilities are bills payables, bank overdraft, and creditors and others. Any liability which will be paid within the 1 year comes under the short-term liabilities. Any liability which will be paid more than 1 year comes under the long-term liability. Simply we can say liability is woes to the business, means the amount that we need to pay to the outsiders, known as woes to the business. And coming to the bills receivables. So bills receivables means it is the promise taken from the customer when the transactions conducted on credit. Here the acceptance received from the customer is known as bills receivable. That is, promise received from the customer that certain amount will be paid in the future date is known as a bills receivable. Simply we can say that acceptance received from the customer is known as bills receivable. And bills payable means here acceptance received from where? From customers. Acceptance received from the customers called bills receivables, and acceptance given by business to whom? To suppliers is known as bills payable. So this is the item which is known as a current asset. Bills receivable is a current asset, and this is the item which comes under the current liabilities. Means very short period this payment will be cleared. Very short period this amount will be received from the customer. So these two comes under the current assets and the current liabilities. Simply bills receivable means acceptance received from the customers on the transactions is known as bills receivables, means that amount will be paid within the short period. Bills payables means acceptance given by the business to the supplier stating that the amount will be paid within the short period. That is, the promise given by the business to the suppliers is known as Bills receivable, one of the current liability of the business. Sales and sales returns. Here, sales means the total sales proceeds of the business for a particular period or the specified period is known as sales. Sales means the total sales proceeds in the business. Sales value means the number of units sold into price per unit. So the product of these two variables is known as sales. For example, 100 units we are selling in the market, we have sold in the market at 10 rupees per share, that equal the total value of the share is 1000 rupees. This is called sales. The total sales proceeds during the particular period for the accounting period is known as the sales. Whereas the sales returns means the returns due to damage, due to defect, or due to any reason. If the customers are returning the goods purchased from the business is known as sales returns. I am repeating, sales returns means due to the defect or the damage of the products or the services, if the customer is returning the purchased goods to the business, such transaction is known as sales returns. So in order to ascertain the net sales, we require to take the difference between the total sales conducted and the sales returns during the particular period, that is net sales. So sales returns means the returns from the customers after sales due to defect or the damage is known as a sales returns. For example, here 100 units sold in the market to Mr. A. So due to some reason, here out of 100 units, 10 units are not good. Means these 10 units are not reached the expectations of the customer A. So here the customer is returning 10 units out of 100 units to the business. Here business sold 100 units to A, and A is returning 10 units out of 100 units to business. This 10 units is known as sales returns, and these 100 units are called sales. So what is net sales here? Net sales means the difference between the sales and sales returns, that is 100 minus 10 equal to 90 units is known as net sales. Means the difference between the total sales and the sales returns is known as net sales during the particular period. So this is about the sales, sales returns, net sales. And coming to the purchases, purchase returns and net purchases. So purchases means the total goods or the services purchased from the suppliers for a particular period is known as purchases. For example, here this is business A, and there is another person in the market who is supplying the raw material to the business. So B is a supplier and A is a business. Now we are discussing about the purchases and purchase returns. So if you purchased raw material, from B worth of 100 units, this is known as total purchases, or the value of purchase is equal to, for example, 1000 rupees. So purchases means the total purchases during a particular period, or the total value of the purchases during a particular period is the total purchases. That is 100 units purchased at 10 rupees per unit. that is the total value of the purchase is equal to 1000 rupees. Whereas purchase returns means after purchasing these raw materials from B, if any reason, either defect or the damage or any reason, if you returning worth of 10 units of raw material to B is known as purchase returns. In the previous case, sales returns, customers returning to the business, but in this case, purchase returns, the business is returning the purchased raw materials to be worth of 10 units. This 10 units is known as purchase returns. In the value at 10, that equal to 100 rupees. 100 rupees worth of raw material we are returning to B. That is known as purchase returns. So 100 units is purchases. This is purchases returns. If you want to ascertain the net purchases, so net purchases equal total purchases minus purchases returns. So the difference between the total purchases and purchase returns is known as net purchases. So here net purchases equal total purchases minus purchase returns is known as net purchases. So these two, sales returns, purchase returns, net sales and net purchase are very important terms that we are using in double entry bookkeeping system at the time of preparing the final accounts. Next, overdraft. Overdraft is the special arrangement provided by the financial institution or the bank to the business for withdrawing more than the available balance in the savings account or the current account. Generally, businesses will open the current accounts. So here, overdraft is drawing over than the available balance. For example, you have only 1000 rupees in your account, but you require 15,000. Yes, you are eligible to draw 1500 rupees. Then you can draw 1500 rupees, though you have 1000 rupees in your current account. So this is a special arrangement provided by the banks to draw more than the available balance. So this is what called overdraft. Drawing more than the available balance from the banks is known as overdraft. This is a special arrangement provided by the banks to the very few companies. If the relationship between the business and the bank is good since long period, in such cases the banks will provide such a facility to the banks to draw more than the available balance from the current account. For that they will charge more interest than the normal interest. Next, so net sales and net purchase already completed. Net sales is the difference between the total sales and sales returns. Net purchase means the difference between the total purchases and sale purchase returns. Then revenue expenditure and revenue receipts. Revenue expenditure is an expenditure which will be incurred by the business to run in the market, or expenditure incurring on running the business is known as a revenue expenditure. For example, if you want to maintain the fixed assets in good conditions, you need to spend some amount, that is revenue expenditure. Payment for employees in terms of salaries, revenue expenditure. Payment to the labor in terms of wages, revenue expenditure, commission paid, rent paid, interest paid to the debentures holders, dividend paid to the shareholders. So all these expenditures are comes under the revenue expenditure. Simply we can say the expenditure which we are incurring on running the business at present is known as revenue expenditures. So revenue expenditure incurred from the working capital. Whereas the revenue receipts means the amount received or the receipts from the customers for selling the goods. So when you sold the goods in the market, the amount you are received after sales is known as a revenue receipt. Means all the sales proceeds are comes under the revenue receipts. Commission received, rent received, dividend received, interest received. So all the receipts within the 1 year, less than 1 year, comes under the revenue receipts. And the capital expenditure and the capital receipts. Capital expenditure is an expenditure that business is incurring on purchasing the fixed assets, land, plant, machinery, technology, vehicles, computers, technology, any fixed asset that we are acquiring or purchasing by using the capital. Such capital is known as a capital expenditure, or simply capital expenditure, the expenditure is incurred for acquiring fixed assets, for purchasing fixed asset. Such expenditure is known as capital expenditure. Then capital receipts. Capital receipts means the receipts from selling the fixed assets in the business. So here we have purchased some fixed assets, machineries, example machinery, long 5 years ago. We are using the machinery since 5 years. Now the machinery is not in a position to use, or we would like to replace the existing machinery with the new machinery. Then we will sell the existing machinery in the business, in the market. The amount which we are receiving for this transaction is known as a capital receipt. Capital receipt. So simply we can say the capital receipt is the receipts from the selling the fixed assets in the business is known as a capital receipts. So these are the some of the terms that we are using under the double entry bookkeeping system or accounting. So at the time of preparing the transactions, journals, ledger book, trial balance and final accounts, we will be discussed different terms other than these terms if required. So these terminology are very important that we are using under double entry bookkeeping system. Each and every person has to understand the meanings of these terminologies in order to understand the accounting concepts like final accounts. Okay, thank you.